All right, yeah, all right.
Oh, yeah, well, I see that, China, but it's nice.
Okay. This is a meeting of the Hillsdale Borough Council on this 9th day of April, 2024. Notice of time, place of this meeting has been provided to the Ridgewood News and the Bergen Record. A copy was posted on the bulletin board outside of this meeting room and provided to any interested parties. Please silence all cell phones and wait to be recognized by the mayor during the public hearing portion and the public comment part of the meeting. You will need to state your name and town of residence for the record. Will the clerk please read the roll?
Council President Escobar.
Here, here.
Councilmember Fox.
Here.
Councilmember Lundy.
Here.
Councilmember Oso.
Present.
Councilmember Rucco.
Here.
Councilmember Trohimuk.
Here.
Mayor Scheinfeld.
Here, will we all please rise for the pledge? Would you like to lead us today?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have an appointment tonight, but he is not in attendance, so I guess we're just going to motion to approve him. It's for Matt Kupa? Not sure on the pronunciation. Does anyone know? No? Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Will the clerk please read the roll?
Council President Escobar.
Yes, yes.
Councilmember Fox.
Yes.
Councilmember Lundy.
Yes.
Councilmember Oso.
Yes.
Councilmember Rucco.
Yes.
Councilmember Trohimuk.
Yes.
Okay, it passes. Approval of the minutes, we don't have any to approve. Initial public comment. Right. It is, can we, well, before we, well, I guess, all right, let's do the initial public comment. We have a motion? We don't need, all right. Does anyone wish to speak? Anyone? Anyone? No? Okay. We're going to do a waiver of the reading of the full budget for 2024, 24-126. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Clerk, please read the roll.
Councilmember Fox.
Yes.
Councilmember Lundy.
Yes.
Councilmember Oso.
Yes.
Councilmember Rucco.
Yes.
Councilmember Trohimuk.
Yes.
Council President Escobar.
Yes, yes.
The waiver passes. Before we move on to the public hearing of the 2024 municipal budget, I have something I'd like to read into the record. If we didn't spend a dime on new programs or services, our expenses would still go up. That's because items like existing contracts and borough wages go up every year, and those expenses need to be covered. We have 5 choices, 3 immediate and 2 long-term, for how we cover these built-in annual budget increases. 1, we could cut services from other programs already deemed worthy of coverage. Examples of these programs are senior services, summer camps, or road improvements. 2, we could take money from our surplus, which would otherwise be used for unanticipated expenses or emergencies. A potential drone study would have been funded from such a surplus. Using surplus funds to fill budgets leaves gaps for Hillsdale, making it financially vulnerable if an emergency should arise. And 3rd, we could raise taxes to cover bills. Over the long term, municipalities can expand their tax base and save money for their residents by creating taxable properties. Our Economic Growth and Development Committee is focused on finding ways to grow and improve our tax base, economy, and business opportunities while also maintaining the character of our community, and I look forward to their proposals. Finally, we can execute shared service agreements with other municipalities, entities in the county to create savings through synergies. In this regard, I am pleased to announce that the county should have their high-speed fiber dropped outside Borough Hall by the end of the month. We're one of the first towns in Bergen County to enter into a high-speed fiber shared service agreement, and I know our borough facilities are going to realize tangible savings from this program. We are also actively seeking shared service agreements with neighboring municipalities for our volunteer ambulance corps. Getting a second rig would allow the ambulance corps to bill insurance companies each time our team responds to a call. The potential offset in savings for such a program could be dramatic. Let me reiterate, economic development and shared service agreements take time and cannot be tapped into to meet our immediate economic needs. I thank the Finance Committee, led by Budget Chairman Rocco, for their work. I thank the BA, Mike Casali, for all the time and effort he put into this document, and I thank our CFO, David Young, for his efforts. David, I am more and more impressed with you every day that goes on, and I'm so thankful for my predecessors for having the good sense to bring you on board. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to open the 2024 municipal budget hearing to the public.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Council, will the clerk please read the roll?
Councilmember Lundy,
Yes.
Councilmember Oso,
Yes.
Councilmember Rucco,
Yes.
Councilmember Chohimuk,
Yes.
Council President Escobar,
Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Fox.
Yes.
Okay, the meeting is now open to the public. If anyone desires to be heard regarding the 2024 municipal budget, please say your name and wait to be recognized. Once recognized, state your name and address for the record. Anybody? Nobody?
I have some
Oh, we do. Okay. We have a hand up.
My hand up, too.
Jonathan.
Good afternoon, good evening, Mayor. Jonathan DeJoseph, Hillsdale, New Jersey. Just give a call in regards to the budget. Two large increases noted on the budget presentation. Salaries are up by 6.7%. Group medical insurance is up by 17%. But the state health benefits increase for 24 was 7.3%. The question or comment to that is how much of those increases is it attributed to increased headcounts in Hillsdale?
We have the CFO if you want to.
Would you like to answer, or should we just?
David Young, CFO, Borough of Hillsdale. I can't give you a specific number because I don't have the specifics with me, but in response to Mr. DeJoseph's query, probably a bit. We've probably got 6 incremental headcount in terms of full-time people who are now getting benefits. So that is a significant chunk of that. Mr. DeJoseph, I will get that information off to you. I think we have your email address here, so we can get that information to you in specifics. But it is a fair amount of it is in additional headcount full-time.
Was that unanticipated, or was that filling gaps for people?
It's we incremented the police force, so that was incremental bodies. We added DPW. We took some part-time people on some staffing we had in town hall and created full-time positions there as well. So it's a variety of different places where we've incremented headcount.
Great. Thank you. Does anybody else have a question?
Thank you very much.
Is that it? Okay, can we get a motion to close the public hearing on the 2024 municipal budget?
Motion.
Second.
Clerk, please read the roll.
Councilmember Oso,
Yes.
Councilmember Rucco,
Yes.
Councilmember Chohimuk,
Yes.
Council President Escobar,
Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Fox. Yes. Councilmember Lundy.
Yes.
Great. We'll move on to the adoption of the 2024 municipal budget. Motion? We'll do discussion after we.
Question.
Yeah.
I had intended to do the budget presentation that's linked on the agenda before the public information, but in view of the fact that it's already available to the public, I would just be repeating things. I'm content to just continue on the agenda.
Okay.
Because it is available, and there's no point in me reiterating what's already there.
Okay. So can we get a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Clerk, please roll.
This is to close the public hearing?
This is
This
just
is to
open.
adopt.
Well, no, it's closed. This is for us to open discussion amongst ourselves before we consider.
Oh, okay.
What? Okay.
Well, no.
Discussion.
Well, we'll do discussion after we do the motion.
The resolution is for the adoption of the budget.
Yeah.
There is a motion and a second. That's for that resolution. However, you're right instinctually, which is that now that there's a motion and a second, it is open for
Right.
discussion.
So I would like to make that open for discussion.
You have, there's a motion and a second on the adoption of the municipal budget. As we know from Robert's rules, discussions take place upon motion and second. So it's open for discussion among the members of the governing body.
Do people have comments? Yes.
Yeah, I just have a general question to the Finance Committee.
Speaking of the mic, yeah.
I just have a general question to the Finance Committee, and I wasn't able to sit down in all those discussions that were had. I'd just like to know, was there a consensus among the committee to support this budget going into this vote?
Can I answer? There was a consensus on the committee to introduce the budget as it was presented.
To introduce the budget?
Yes.
But today we're voting on the budget.
Right.
So
You have your answer.
nothing on the specifics, just on the fact that it would be going forward.
That's introducing. I mean, introducing was last time. Today is
Adoption.
adoption.
No,
So
Right, my question was with regards to adoption. Was there a consensus amongst the committee to adopt the budget?
No, I don't believe there was.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Whether or not the Finance Committee had an agreement that they were
He said
going to
there
move
was or
forward
there
together.
wasn't?
There was not.
Okay.
And can I ask why there wasn't?
I'm going to assume that it's because some people had, although on the committee and although working to bring the best possible budget forth, they may have had some concerns. Ms. Lundy, am I mistaken in that?
No,
Yeah.
I think what I'm asking is
I'll-
that
I'll-
if
I can-
there,
I'll
was
answer
there
your question.
some items that I should further consider if there wasn't a consensus there?
There was-
Right.
No, please.
No, I'll answer the question. Throughout the budget process and throughout several Finance Committee meetings, I was under the impression there was a consensus. Upon introduction, I think we found out that there may not be a consensus to adopt. There were not many items that I would say somebody found objectionable. I think there's one or two in particular. They were not brought up really at all during the discussions. There were no alternatives offered to fund the objectionable or questionable item. I don't think that there's anything, Clemente, I'm sure you went through the presentation and went through the budget. I don't think that there's anything that you would be concerned about or you would find objectionable.
do you have a question or anything that you want to add?
If there was a particular item that is
Well,
preventing.
I think when it comes time to the vote to adopt, you'll find that out.
Okay.
Are you good?
Yeah, I think I'm good, yeah.
Okay.
Does anybody else have questions, comments? Well, since I don't get to vote, you're going to have to listen to me for a couple more minutes. Again. Look, it's my only chance. I don't get to vote on any of this stuff, so. Okay. The budget now up for consideration is the most important resolution we deliberate all year. It's a statement about who we are and what we prioritize. It's a vision for what we want Hillsdale to look like several years down the road. Everyone up on this dais should and will be held accountable for how we address the budget. Let me make a blanket statement that I think we can all agree upon. No one anywhere in Hillsdale, including every member on this governing body, is going to agree with everything contained in the 2024 budget. With that said, the residents of Hillsdale have the right to expect their mayor and council to come together and create a sound vision for our community. That vision is reflected in and by this budget. We are elected to make tough decisions, to prioritize certain projects, and even delay others as the economics of the day might require. People have asked me if I'll support the budget if it raises taxes for the things the council did last year when I wasn't in this position. In fact, 3 members of this governing body had no vote on anything that happened in 2023 because said members were either not in their current roles or not here at all. I won't play politics with something as important as our fiscal stability. I won't abdicate my responsibility by simply saying prior councils created the current situation and then refused to support a budget which raises taxes or cuts services to make up for what was done in the past. We deal with the world as it is, not as we want it to be. When driving, we quickly glance in the rearview mirror to see what's behind us and to act if a dangerous situation is heading in our direction. But we spend most of our time looking ahead through our large front windshield. If we only focus on what's behind us, we are certain to get into an accident as we move forward. The ironic part of this situation is that the budget is referred to as the mayor's budget. Yet I'm shown it after it's been worked on by the Finance Committee, the CFO, and the BA, and I don't even get to vote on it. That said, I support this budget because it's a sound package that focuses on our immediate needs while also being designed to look ahead several years to anticipate as best as possible where we'd like to be. Ideally, this budget will have unanimous support from the council. I say to my colleagues tonight that it's not good enough to say simply vote no. I will ask you what specific things you would change to make this a budget you could support. Don't tell us you just want to cut taxes, because we all want to cut taxes. Now's the time to speak up for specific proposals. I will say it a second time. We deal with the world as it is, not as we want it to be. Thank you. And with that said, if there's no other comments to be made, I think we can move on to a vote. Will the clerk please read the roll?
Councilmember Rucco?
Abstain.
Councilmember Chohimuk?
Yes.
Council President Escobar?
Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Fox?
Yes.
Councilmember Lundy,
Yes.
Councilmember Oso?
Yes.
Budget is adopted. Clerk, do we have any correspondence? You look, okay. No professional reports? No?
None.
Okay. Let's move on to committee reports. Okay, we're all right. Council President Escobar, you want to start?
I don't have any committee reports, Mr. Mayor. I know I'm on Zoom, so I'm not sure how it's
Okay. Councilman Fox?
No reports. I just want to, again, commend the DPW for doing the fields ready for opening day. I think they did an excellent job. So.
Okay. Councilwoman Lundy?
As far as the Environmental Commission, I just want to remind everybody that Saturday is the seedling distribution. It will be held at the train station. If there's inclement weather, it'll be at the library. The first hour is for Hillsdale residents only. No, I'm sorry. I'm talking about, oh my gosh, I'm talking about Styrofoam Drive. No, seedlings are available anytime for anyone. All right. And also just remind everybody, as far as the ambulance corps, that on starting Saturday, April 13th, all critical care and emergency is being diverted from Valley Hospital in Ridgewood to the new Valley Hospital in Paramus.
What day is that? Sorry.
It's starting April 13th.
April 13th, wow.
April 14th is the full diversion. So,
Okay. Is that it? Did you want to talk on?
and no, that's all for now.
Okay.
I'll do my commentary at the end.
Okay. Councilman Oso?
Yes. Had an opportunity to speak with Robert Lombardi, superintendent of the middle school and the grammar schools here in Hillsdale, and the school board has agreed to a referendum vote date of September 17th. They're going to begin sending out communications with regards to the option that was chosen that they're going to go ahead and support. Had the Rec Commission meeting last night that the mayor was kind enough to attend. There was a representative from Access for All there. He just pointed out that there's grants available under Jake's Law that could provide us accessible playgrounds. And then there's funding there that the state wants to give out. We mentioned the HBSA there at the meeting last night, and to give them a shout out as to the great job that was done with regards to opening day. It was a big turnout. The weather cooperated to a certain degree. It could have been a little bit warmer, but I think the kids had a great time, and the fields held up very well. And it was a great job by the DPW to get that area prepared for that afternoon. Dan Conti went ahead and filed the paperwork for some open space grants specific to Beechwood Park. With regards to summer camps, the two summer camps, Camp Pascack and Camp Adventure, sold out within a couple of hours. Dan Conti, the rec director, and the commission are going to look at ways to increase capacity there. For the two part-time camps, Camp Field Trip and Camp Little Hawks, there is a couple of open spots available. There is a brochure posted now on the municipal website under the Recreation Department. It will list out events that are available to the public. They went ahead and incorporated that into the commission services, and I think it's a great tool so that residents can see the things that are open to them. And then with regards to the summer concert series, the first concert is planned for June 25th at 7 p.m. It's the North Jersey Concert Band, and it's movie night. So you get to hear all your favorite movie themes. Yeah. And that's all I have to report.
Great. Councilman Rocco?
No, I made my reports, Mayor, at the last meeting. If it's okay with you, I'd like to just summarize the results of what we heard today at the Bergen County League of Municipalities, or would you rather I do that?
I think that's probably in the comments at the end. Just,
that's fine.
I think that's probably
Perfect. Thank you.
council commentaries. Councilwoman Trujillo.
Yes, Library Committee met on Monday evening, and they wanted me to share with everyone that it is National Library Week on April 7th through the 13th. The library opened a community seed library on the main floor. Donations were made by residents and seed companies. Library card is not required. Just fill out the borrower's form and enjoy the opportunity to try growing different varieties of vegetables this year. Also, the library has added a new service. They have a laminating machine, and it's offered to the public. The charge is 50 cents per lamination jacket. Also, Hillsdale artist Lois Rouge Fond, I hope I said that correctly, is holding an informal reception in support of her watercolor exhibit, and that will be Saturday, April 13th from 2 to 4 p.m., and all are encouraged to attend, to visit, and to meet Lois. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay. Business Administrator Gazzali.
Quickly, Mr. Mayor, we have a new business in town, Numi Nails and Spa Salon at 321 Broadway Avenue, Unit 5. The construction at the police department is completed. We're doing the cleaning and the prep work for the furniture, which will be arriving on April 24th. And it'll take a day or two to set up. So April 29th, we should be fully operational. The lobby construction will be done by April 24th. And same thing, by April 29th, we should be fully operational, new lobby, new glass, new desks. I also do want to thank our CFO, David Young, the Finance Committee, the staff, for all the work that they did on the budget. It's a good, responsible budget. By code, it's the PA's budget to present it. And I'm very proud of it. We didn't need to close the gap in reference to the staff, where we now have high caliber staff with strong backgrounds in the different fields. We did raise the starting salaries to attract, more talent. So I think we are on good footings moving forward. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Great. Excellent. Okay. Let's move on to the ordinances. For introduction, 2409, an ordinance amending Chapter 71 Swimming Pool Commission of the Borough Code to modify Section 71-3, meetings, and to modify 71-3C. Be it resolved that ordinance 2409 does now pass a first reading, and that said ordinance be further considered for final passage at a meeting of the mayor and council in the municipal building, 380 Hillsdale Avenue, Hillsdale, New Jersey, on May 7th, 2024. And at said time and place, all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same, and the clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance in the Ridgewood News once, at least 1 week prior to said hearing, with a notice of its introduction and of the time and place when and where said ordinance would be considered for final passage. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Will the clerk please read the roll?
I'd like to.
Sure.
Yeah. Despite the verbiage in the resolution or in the ordinance, and the haze that's created from the complete rendition of Section 71-3 of the Borough Code dealing with the Stony Brook Commission's meeting, I think that the end result of this ordinance is that 3 words in the present code, I think, are deleted.
That's correct.
And they're replaced with 9 words. But I'm curious as to what effect this achieves. It removes an unreasonable deadline that currently exists in the code, which I think is the Stony Brook folks have to provide the clerk with their minutes, I think, 10 days after the meeting. That's very difficult to do because minutes are produced and then they have to be voted on at the next meeting. So I always thought that requirement in the current code was draconian. But I don't think it's an appropriate solution to just say to them, they control a large utility, over $1 million of receipts and expenditures, and then say, well, you've just got a reasonable time to produce your minutes.
Right.
I would prefer that the minutes be stipulated as being given to the clerk 35 days after the meeting, or at their next meeting when they do review the draft of the minutes and approve them, just like this body does. The other thing that the history of this group and other groups, they're not alone. The Rec Committee also does not always publish their minutes promptly. So it seems like we're going in the wrong direction if we want to encourage these different groups to actually produce their minutes. That's all I have to say.
I almost called the mayor. I don't think that there's any attempt to not publish the minutes. This is being done in good faith. What it's trying to thwart is certain council people who request minutes in an unreasonable period of time or badger commission members for minutes. This will allow them to get them posted, and they'll be posted on a monthly basis as they have been. But they just don't want to be stuck to a very strict timetable.
But what is so this new ordinance, what is it saying in terms?
It's saying that it'll be posted within a reasonable period of time.
Just the word reasonable period of time.
Right.
Right. The original ordinance says within 10 days.
Of the meeting.
No,
Correct.
what it said within
Right.
10
That
days
is-
of the meeting, but
Right.
they
That
couldn't
is
approve them.
obviously
Yeah.
impossible.
It's
Right.
impossible because they don't approve them till the next meeting.
Correct.
So could we,
Moreover, if I may, that standard doesn't exist under the Open Public Meetings Act for your own minutes. Your own minutes are
Right.
within a reasonable period of time.
Okay, so
So
Alex
why,
says the same words?
why would the minutes of the pool commission
be held to a higher
be
standard?
held to
Or
a
different.
which is generally not as well staffed and as well adapted, I imagine, to the governing the body itself, which is governed by the Open Public Meetings Act, which is a pretty hot piece of legislation. It's in the newspaper all the time. So I was asked to change it to a reasonable period of time. So 10 days went to a reasonable period of time.
Okay.
I am happy to change it to anything else, but it does not seem inconsistent with a good practice.
I also want to point out that the pool commission themselves voted to make this change and then gave that information to the clerk, and I guess for your review.
That's how I
as the
got it.
attorney, that's how you got it. So the pool commission votes on their bylaws, and
So I'm very happy to use any other language you want. The intention was to make it longer than 10 days and no stricter than our very own rules.
and that's
If
it's
we
good enough
start-
for us, it's good enough for them.
So in either case, that's the full explanation, Mayor. I think
He's
there's
not
a
the mayor.
motion and a second.
Well, before we get there, I actually want to ask a question. I was just checking with the clerk for how we do our minutes. Would it be unreasonable or not workable that we do it 10 days after the minutes have been approved? Since it's too vague? Otherwise, if we say a reasonable
Well, I
timeframe?
think then, as long as we qualify it that there is a meeting, because,
Well,
after
it's approved,
approval.
would by
Yeah.
definition mean that there had to have been a meeting to approve it.
Well,
Yeah,
Does that
my,
create a
I
problem?
can,
But we
there's
don't
no
even have
problem.
that.
I can,
Yeah.
I am happy to write as many words into this simple sentence as anyone
What
wants.
does ours say?
I think
Ours
it
is just
just,
reasonable.
Well, then why are we holding them to a higher standard? They're volunteers.
it
But
says,
once it's approved anyway, they would come back and.
they have to, yeah.
So why
Mayor,
hold them to
I-
a higher standard? Once it's approved, they're going to give them to us.
If they don't, everybody has the same rights they have under Oprah. to do in the event that we don't approve our minutes fast enough. But again, I don't have a dog in this fight. I'll write any great number of words you prefer.
15. Pick them as you choose.
I would do a great many more than that.
Okay.
Charges per word.
In this particular body, I have been the one that Councilwoman Lundy is referring to because I have waited 2 months. I have informed the borough administrator, where are the minutes? I've asked the chairman of that committee, and they are tardy in producing their minutes. So now to go in the reverse direction and say, well, you have a reasonable time to put your minutes in. I just don't think that's appropriate. We operate here on this body to get our minutes out at a reasonable period of time, and we've met it. I don't think that we're behind in any sense. So I'm perfectly happy to say 10 days after the meeting that approves the minutes, I don't see.
That's what it did say.
No,
No.
that was 10 days
No.
after the meeting.
It said
10 days after the
meeting. It didn't say after the meeting, after the minutes were approved the
Yeah.
following meeting.
It doesn't say that, Mark.
Okay.
what the-
It doesn't matter.
If I can, once they're approved, there's no impediment to sending them to the clerk.
Right.
Right.
The issue is not that they are approved and held. The issue is that they probably don't get done and put up for approval.
And
But
that's
whatever-
why
but
the
this
code
says
was so
whenever they're
unreasonable.
approved.
This says within a reasonable amount of
Reasonable
time.
amount of time. It's not that they're not getting approved. They're getting approved, and either they're not being sent to the person who needs to post them, or in some cases they are sent and they're not posted because there's other work that's being done. Again, I'm not inclined to hold volunteers to a higher standard than we're being held. There's nothing to hide in the minutes. They're a utility. There's no taxpayer dollars involved. I'm inclined to leave it just as it is.
Okay. So I want to comment then and say, so if they're having a meeting on the March 1st, and their next meeting is April 15th, and on April 15th, they're approving the minutes from that March 1st meeting.
Yes.
Therefore, now, on April 15th and afterwards, they can then submit those minutes. But what if they don't have a meeting on April 15th and then have a meeting in, September? So 6 months, there's no requirement, like there's no button requirement, like.
They are required to meet 12 times a year, barring inclement,
Okay,
sometimes there's
so they're
inclement
meeting
weather,
every
but they
month.
meet every month.
But not necessarily that at that next meeting, they have minutes
But
prepared.
that's not what
They
this
do.
says. This says when they are approved.
Right, and they will always be approved.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily at the
But
next meeting.
whenever it is that they are
At the
approved,
third meeting
Could
from,
be.
right.
They have a reasonable time. This ordinance, from what I can recall
Just
here,
says reasonable.
whenever it is approved,
Then
they
it's
have a
reasonable.
reasonable
Then it's
time
reasonable.
afterwards.
How about we just say, which shall be filed with the borough clerk within a reasonable amount of time after the meeting?
I have a question. The pool commission, they discussed this, they voted on this, they submitted it to us for approval. Can we now go back and change what they did?
Yeah, well, they don't write our ordinances.
We're the
What
only
they
ones
would
that write
like
ordinances.
is, of course, a valuable suggestion, but until they get to write ordinances, they have to play by our rules. But I'm trying to craft something that makes everyone happy.
Well, I don't.
And what seems that might do that, which shall be adopted and filed with the borough clerk within a reasonable amount of time
That's fine.
after the meeting.
Perfect.
Why don't we just vote on it?
After which
First read,
meeting?
introduction.
This is just introduction, yeah.
Okay, which shall
So-
be adopted and filed with the borough clerk within a reasonable amount of time after the meeting.
Good.
After the first meeting.
After
Yes,
the meeting at
after
which
the
they're
meeting.
approved.
Right, after the meeting.
Yes.
After a reasonable time,
Right,
they have
after
to
it's been-
approve
after it's-
and file.
No, it's
No, it's after
It's
they're
after it's been
approved, they have to
approved,
file
whenever
them
that
within a
is.
reasonable period of
they have a
time.
reasonable time to get it to our clerk.
That's not what I'm
No,
hearing.
that's not what-
Okay?
That's exactly what I'm What I'm not hearing is, again, the issue is not that they approve them, but then they just don't email them to Denise. The issue is, by the time they're done, by the time they're on for approval, by the
No.
time they're,
Yes.
That's not ever an issue.
What's
They
the
get
issue?
approved, every month, they approve the minutes from the meeting before, unless there is,
An active
excuse me, Councilman Rucco, do you have something to say?
No, I was talking to my
Oh.
associate here.
so
So
every month
every
they're
month,
approved.
they are approved, unless there's some substantive change where they say we're not going to approve them, and then they would make those changes and approve them the next month. But there's no question of whether they're being approved. It's the fact that they're not being posted soon enough for Councilman Rucco.
But all they have to be is sent to Denise, right?
Correct.
Is there a reason they can't, somebody just can't do
I
any-
object. Point of order, Mayor. She just said they're not being posted to satisfy Councilman Rucco. It's not me. This is a personal attack on me, which is prohibited by the rules, by Robert's Rules of Order.
Let's try to keep it away from personal attacks. Okay? Let's move on from that.
Certainly. They're not being approved quickly enough for a council person who's emailing, requesting them almost every other month.
Point of order. Can you prove that?
Well, if you copied me on the emails, I could, but since you didn't,
You're
they were
not on the
forwarded to me.
commission. You're the liaison
But they were
to the
forwarded to me
committee.
by the commission head, so yes, I could prove it. Would you like to see the emails?
I have the emails.
Wrote them.
And there were times when I asked the borough administrator, where are the minutes? 2 months had elapsed. And they
Okay,
weren't published.
This isn't going to be productive. Why don't we stick to what the resolution to this is
I think
gonna
we
be?
don't hold them to a higher standard than we hold ourselves, and the way it's written is fine.
Okay, so
Like to see
Vote on this,
it.
vote on this.
Someone, I think that's.
was that the council president would like to speak?
Yes, I said, can we just vote on it? We're just, wait, time out.
Well, we have to figure out what we're voting on first,
Yeah.
whether or not we're voting
Vote
on
on it
as
as-
written.
So this is the introduction, as is.
Yes, yes.
You have a month until the adoption. So between now and then, we'll have a chance to go through it and
Okay.
make any other correction.
Minor changes can be made, and
It's-
I would deem
Right. De
a lot
minimis,
of this relatively de minimis.
Okay. So as it is now, then, we have a motion, we have a second, we've had discussion. Let's put it to a vote.
Councilmember Trojimuk,
Yes.
Council President Escobar,
Yes, yes.
Councilmember Fox.
Yes.
Councilmember Lundy,
Yes.
Councilmember Oso,
Yes.
Councilmember Rucco.
No.
The ayes have it, and it is introduced.
I welcome, Mayor, I welcome any changes.
Anybody that's got some modifications to suggest, please take them to the BA, who will pass them along to Borough Council. Okay. We'll move on to ordinance 2410 for introduction. An ordinance to provide for and determine the maximum rate, amount, and method of payment of compensation to persons holding certain office and positions of employment in the Borough of Hillsdale, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey. Be it resolved that ordinance 2410 does now pass a first reading, and that said ordinance be further considered for final passage at a meeting of the mayor and council in the municipal building, 380 Hillsdale Avenue, Hillsdale, New Jersey, on May 7th, 2024, and at said time and place, all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same, and the clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance in the Ridgewood News once, at least 1 week prior to said hearing, with a notice of its introduction and of the time and place when and where said ordinance would be considered for final passage. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Will the clerk please read the roll?
Council President Escobar,
Yes, yes.
Councilmember Fox,
Yes.
Councilmember Lundy,
Yes.
Councilmember Oso,
Yes.
Councilmember Rucco,
Yes.
Councilmember Trojimuk.
Yes. Yes.
Ordinance 2410 passes introduction. We're moving on to the consent agenda. Does anybody have something that they want pulled off the consent agenda? Or is it all remaining on consent? Seeing nobody opposing that, is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
The clerk please read the roll.
Councilmember Fox.
Yes.
Councilmember Lundy,
Yes.
Councilmember Oso,
Yes.
Councilmember Rucco,
Yes.
Councilmember Trojimuk,
Yes.
Council President Escobar.
Yes, yes.
The consent agenda Passes unanimously. Nothing is on off consent. It is time for public comment, limited to 3 minutes on any topic. Please state your name and town of residence for the record. Does anybody wish to be heard? Welcome.
Hi, Bill Drummond, excuse me, 840 Hillsdale Avenue. Excuse me, sorry. I wanted to just present some facts, the facts that I see regarding the Tandy property at 810, 820, 830 Hillsdale Avenue, formerly 765 Hillsdale Avenue. So an Open Space Institute OSI report was completed in 2015. Soil testing was done on 4/27/15 and 10/5/15. Tom Gravel of Open Space Institute told me that contamination was found. This report resulted in OSI and Open Space would not be able to fund that property for preservation. The project it would have to have been remediated by the Tandy, at the time, Tandy owners. They refused to do it, and so therefore the funding fell apart, and the property was not saved. On February 3rd, 2016, Frank Mazzella wrote to the Pascack Press telling them of the situation and why that Hillsdale can no longer be involved in funding it, or Open Space be funding it. Tandy sold the property to Oceanside Developers in 2018, and it was quoted as saying the best value in Bergen County, and it was listed at $675,000. It sold for less. I don't know the exact amount, but I think it was 5 something. And in the ad, it specifically said buyer must remediate. In September of 2020, Oceanside, through Rand Commercial Realty, advertised the property for $1 million and stated they had Borough of Hillsdale and New Jersey DEP approval, and that the property was, quote, shovel-ready. N Squared purchased this property in a private sale, not a public. It was not listed. There was no signs on the property. In October of 23, titled it in November of 23. On 3/26, this 24, I spoke to one of the current owners, Jose, who stated he was never given the OSI contamination report by Oceanside and was doing soil testing to assess the feasibility of building basements in their residential homes. At 4/2/24, the last council meeting, it was stated by Business Administrator Gasali, I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong, that N Squared said to him that they had a New Jersey DEP permit. That's correct, right? We are attempting, or I am attempting, to get a copy of the OSI report. The report is really owned by the Tandy family. OSI cannot release that report because it is not theirs to release. The borough had a copy of that report. I don't know where that went. I also don't really know how a DEP permit was produced, if indeed it was produced, to the current owner in Squared. It's possible, in my estimation, that they changed the address of the property, whether that could have been an issue from 786 Hillsdale Avenue to 810, 820, and 830 Hillsdale Avenue.
That wouldn't have modified block and block.
It shouldn't make a difference. The lot and block numbers are, similar or the same. Anyway, I just wanted to put this out there. I'm concerned about what's happening with the property. I feel that they shouldn't be building on contaminated soil. What that's going to do to the existing wetlands or to my property, it's not clear. And so I just wanted to present my facts that as I've seen them over, I've lived there for 40 years, so I've been through a lot with this piece of property, and it's it's literally a can of worms right now. So.
Do you have an update?
So as of today, no plans have been submitted to the town there's no plans, no DEP permits that we have. When he or they do submit, they have to submit all the permits that they have with the plan.
Yeah.
So as of now, we have nothing.
Yeah. I know. So I just wanted to present what I know.
And this is good information for you, for us also.
Yeah, because very few people have historical knowledge of what's gone on there. It's things get you know, like, just like the OSR report, like nobody seems to know where it is, and it's not an easily accessible thing. I think eventually it will be gotten, but
This is a high-profile property. As soon as we see the plans or we
Yeah.
get the plans in, I think we should post them online so
Yeah.
it's available to the public.
I appreciate that.
Because we do get many questions, Mayor, on this.
Right. I'm concerned for the, not OSI, but N squared. I mean, I believe that he doesn't, never received a report of the contamination, and so and the fact that if he did get a DEP permit, I mean, he's within his rights, but I guess, but if there's contamination, I don't know where that falls. How do you go back and say, we made a mistake, and
Did it?
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we don't know if he has a permit. We were told he has a permit.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen or.
Yes, I know. So that's why I just wanted.
As soon as we see the plans.
I just wanted to go over what I know, and this has been running through my head. I'm trying to figure out
Mr.
what's
Chairman.
going on.
We are waiting, as you are, for
Yeah.
whatever they're going to
Yeah.
do. We can't,
Yeah, it's a conundrum for sure.
Yeah,
So,
I appreciate it.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anybody else?
Hi there, Chris Camp, Hillsdale, Raymond Street. Just a brief comment tonight. Thank you again, everybody, for your work on the budget and adopting the budget this year. The comment is really just it seemed like we had a little more deliberation on approving pool minutes, the length of time that it takes to approve pool minutes than it does. We got the discussion for related to the budget. It seemed like there was maybe some not complete consensus with how the adoption was going, and I think the public just be interested to know kind of like the ins and outs and like basically the risks, the potential risks that the budget might pose, just like with anything. Maybe this is my experience from the private sector talking, but with any big increase in any type of budget, like it comes with an appropriate risk analysis about, all the things that could go wrong, especially when it comes to like we have the improvements to the field, right? So what are the council's concerns about what could go wrong with that project? What could increase the budget in future years? How could that impact things going forward? So I don't know if that's being saved for council commentaries, but just something listening and reading about what's going on. That's kind of something I'm curious about being discussed and being open to the public, that deliberation there. So appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Only have one left in the audience. No interest? He spoke for you, okay. We will now close the public comment period and move on to council commentaries. Councilman Rucco, would you like to begin?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll take you up on your suggestion with respect to the Bergen County League of Municipalities that you and I had their regular breakfast monthly meeting. You and I attended. The presentation was by Joe Burgess, who talked about affordable housing. The news wasn't any better than the last presentation we had a month ago. B.A. Gasali is aware of the issues from his perspective as the mayor of Montvale, as you are. Joe Burgess basically stressed the tight deadlines, almost impossible deadlines to meet. He went over some of the basics of the legislation. I've given a copy of what Joe's handout was to the borough administrator, and he can either send it to the full council, and they can read it and see Mr. Burgess's take on some of these deadlines. So I don't think there's any point in me going through all of the comments that he made, other than they were very, very critical of the decision of the legislature to move forward with this in such a short period of time and to establish these deadlines. I want to note your comments about the budget. I agree with most of them in terms of needing to move forward with the budget, which is why I thought carefully about how I would vote. I, as a member of the Finance Committee, did not want to vote no because there were concerns I have about the budget. And I decided to abstain because the budget, although it's technically sound and very responsive to the desires of this council, it raises aspects that to me were a bit troubling. I believed that someone on the dais needed to demonstrate some concern over the size of the tax increase, the lack of information that has been shared with the public to date on the projects for which appropriations are contained in the budget, and the implications for future tax increases. And that's really why I wanted to explain my abstention. As a member of the Finance Committee, I want to thank, actually, all the members. I think the comments were all very insightful, particularly the responsibilities that were executed by the CFO and by the Borough Administrator. As Mr. Gasali said, it's the Borough Administrator's budget. He's got the responsibility of putting forth the budget, and I think he did a good job given the parameters that he was presented with in terms of and working with the CFO to produce a budget that is sound from a technical perspective, and it allows us to move forward with the goals that this council seems to want to achieve, as well as some of the decisions that it made, not all of which I agreed with, but that's water that has passed under the bridge.
Can I ask, did you express these concerns in committee or with the
Yes,
BA?
I did. I did.
And you didn't get a satisfactory
No,
answer to give you
we
comfort?
talked about them, but the pressure was, well, will you vote for the budget? And I said, I'm thinking about it. I had to think about it. And I thought about it. And now I have expressed what my vote is. Sure. And to question one's motives is also not to be accepted here on the dais. But I have explained my motives are, and I probably will explain them even further in the coming weeks.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Councilman Oso.
Yeah, I just wanted to circle back to that question that I had earlier with regards to the budget and asking for feedback from the Finance Committee. Again, I'm not on the Finance Committee. I wasn't involved in all the details and the conversations that had been had. I had an opportunity to go through the budget with Dave, and I thought it was, as John had said, a very sound budget. I wanted to understand whether opportunities there were and if there was discussion around things that could have been changed. I think that within that budget, we have an opportunity to invest in our town. Fields in specifically. We have a good amount of money there so that we can do projects into the future. I think that this is important to our town because I think that there wasn't much money spent over the last 10 or 15 years, and the fields are not in condition that I would compare to other towns in our area. My daughter plays on those fields. I spent a lot of time on them. And I believe that the work that was done in the past has contributed some to those fields. I think that with the weather patterns that have changed recently, the amount of rain that we've had, I think that the situation would be far worse had those other projects not been funded and paid for. So again, that feedback that I had earlier with regards to the Finance Committee, I wanted to understand what specifically in that budget could have been changed that we could have considered. But I believe that John said it was a sound budget. I'd like to talk to him offline as to why he abstained again. But I feel that it gives us opportunities into the future, so we can go ahead and invest. Yeah, that's it.
Councilwoman Trujillo?
I guess to continue on the budget line, so being a member of the Budget Committee, I know John Rucco is the chairperson of the committee, and Councilwoman Lundy and myself are both on it. And I think that if I was pressed to answer what would have been a point that maybe we didn't agree on, I think it had to do with the fields, if I'm not mistaken. And so, which I understand if most of the people on the dais and people in this town have expressed a desire that they want to move ahead with the plans that we have for the fields, and so perhaps there are some people that don't want to move ahead with this type of expenditure. And understanding that, I think the majority of us have felt and chosen to go ahead with that concept in the budget, wanting to spend the money required to fix the fields. So I think that could be a point of that we weren't all in agreement with. So as far as the budget, again, yes, I too want to thank our CFO, who does a wonderful job. I do want to thank the other committee members, of course. Mike Gasali, instrumental in the preparation. I too think it's we're using the word sound budget. It's a great budget, doing the things that we want to do for the town, for infrastructure. And I think at the very beginning of this meeting, the mayor made some very important comments that costs are going up, and even if we did nothing, the budget, that we would have to increase taxes in order to meet these costs that are out of our control. So I think that's a very realistic situation and position, and I think we took that information and data and we put together the best budget that we could, trying to keep all variables and constraints within something reasonable. And I think that this budget does that. It achieves that purpose. So that's it on the budget. I do want to say that Westwood Cinema is going to be having there's a 37-minute documentary on Joan's story, and that's the Joan D'Alessandro story. It's called Daughter of Mine, and that is going to, did I say April 25th? In the Westwood Theater, and the family would like to inform people so that people can attend. And I don't know if this is neither here nor there, but it doesn't matter. My daughter is getting married on Saturday.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Natalia Trohimuk is getting married to Matthew Weisenpacker in the Dominican Republic.
She didn't get a much easier last name.
Yes. She's going from, I don't know.
No Jones, no Smith, no nothing.
We're going from Trohimuk to Weisenpacker. And in Dominican Republic. And I want,
hyphenate.
yeah. And I want to wish them much health, love, peace, and happiness in their marriage.
That's wonderful.
And that's it. Thank you.
Council President Escobar.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I don't want to keep repeating what the other, but I do want to our CFO, our BA, and the members of the government support the budget. I think it was a sound budget, and the most responsible budget that we. And that's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you. Councilman Fox.
Again, I just want to thank the DPW for doing a stellar job with the fields for opening day. It was a success, and I'm proud to be a Hillsdale resident and see everybody join in the fun. And I liked your speech as well, Mayor. I wanted to thank the Finance Committee and CFO David Young on crafting a sound budget. I'm just a little baffled and puzzled why the Finance Committee chairman, who crafted the budget, then abstained from it without any explanation. Being a champion of transparency, I'm really shocked that he didn't explain his stance on why he abstained. But I guess we'll see it in the next edition of the past.
Point of order, Mayor. Robert's Rules of Order says you shouldn't be questioning the motives of existing council members.
I wasn't questioning the motives.
There was no question there.
It was a comment.
Is that all you've got for tonight?
Yes.
Okay. Councilwoman Lundy?
Okay, well, not to beat a dead horse, but I want to thank our CFO, our BA, and the Finance Committee for, and I'm not going to say it's a sound budget. I want to say that I'm really proud of this budget. It increases public safety by increasing our police force, by, appropriating funds for, EMTs for the full, paid EMTs for the full year by adding, fire equipment, replacing our flood siren and our fire siren, and purchasing necessary fire equipment. So it heavily, there's a very heavy emphasis on public safety, and that's something that we should be proud of. It also allocates funds for much-needed field improvements, and it's something that we've been talking about for the better part of 3 years, and I'm happy that we're continuing in the manner that we said that we would be going. And lastly, I want to wish our mayor a very happy birthday tomorrow.
Oh, thank you.
Happy birthday.
Is that it?
That is all.
Okay. B.A. Gasali?
Mayor, very quickly, since this is on the budget, and there was a reasonable question in front of the public, Mr. Chris Camp, on what's in it and what was wrong and right. Having worked on budgets for the last 14 years, this is a sound, responsible budget by all means. It's a two-part operation. One part is just maintaining the operation of Borough Hall. The staffing, the salaries, the insurance, just the operation side of the budget. The second part is actually planning for the future. The fields, we actually, the CFO and I and members of the committee, we planned out 5 years. We can have a really slow budget this year. We can have a small amount of increase, but we'll have a bigger increase next year and a bigger one in 2026. If we kept a small one in 2024. So we had to plan 5 years out. So if you take into account the first part of the operational, just operating Borough Hall and provide the services that taxpayers expect us to provide, that's one increase. The second increase of that is planning for the future. So I'm very proud of it. I was hoping for a unanimous vote, but 5-1 is good to go to.
5-0 to 1.
It's 5-0.
5-0. You are correct. Abstaining is not a vote.
Right.
Anything else?
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I'd just like to say that these investments make our town even more attractive. You know, and I think that you got to continue to invest. As a small business owner, I think you got to continue to invest.
Good.
Here, here.
Anybody else comment? No? Well, seeing no more business before this body, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
And we are adjourned at 8:04. Thank you for putting up with us.